Thousands of bone fragments belonging to many people have been discovered, along with further corroborative evidence of battle. Current estimates indicate that perhaps 4 cave warriors from Central Europe fought in a battle on the site in the 13th century before Christ. As the population density was approximately 5 people per square kilometer or 13 people per square mile, this would have been the most significant battle in Bronze Age Central Europe known so far, and makes the Tolense Valley currently the largest excavated and archaeologically verifiable battle site of this age in the world. At first, research on the remains by Aarhus University suggested that the combatants stemmed from 2 distinct populations. That is because one of the combatant groups had a diet including millet, which was not widely known in the north of Europe at that time. But later this claim had been refuted with genetic studies. Genetic studies show that there is no decisive evidence that these combatants were from 2 distinct populations. In fact, research on 14 skeletons confirmed that they all hailed from Central Europe and were genetically similar. None of these individuals were able to digest milk, which is something that I look for on this channel when I talk about the lactose persistence gene. Although this trait, known as lactose persistence, is nowadays very common in Europe, it seems that most of the ancient Europeans do not really have it. It's a pretty, in my understanding, it's a pretty recent mutation. Even perhaps, maybe the mutation occurred before the Bronze Age, but it certainly spread way after the Bronze Age. This is the specific individual that this video is about. In terms of who he's ancestral to, perhaps you could say he's ancestral to Germanics and Celts based on the haplogroup. This Y DNA is pretty common in Western Europe today, and this is what he looked like. He's predicted to have hazel eyes with NOSHACOT tool, snub-shaped nose, and brown hair. With snipper 3, he's also predicted to have hazel eyes, brown hair, and white skin. With WEZ53, he's predicted to have brown eyes and brown hair. Interesting that he's predicted to have brown eyes with WEZ53, but you know, WEZ53 is not. WEZ53 is the worst predictor out of these 3, followed by snipper 3, and the best, of course, is NOSHACOT. He's predicted to have straight hair shape, and he had blue haplotype 1. He was heterozygous for BH2, did not have BH3 or BH4. Based on his genotype in Kettle G, SLC24A5, ASIP, and SLC45A2, he had white European skin tone. He only really had one variation for darker skin tone, and it's not a very important variation anyway. And he's got some light color variants, so this is the reason that despite having heterozygous genotype in BH2, he's still got lighter eye color, such as hazel or blue eyes with amber center, because he's got plenty of light color variants in other genes besides OCA2 and HERC2. This Tolense warrior has got this genotype in ZRZ2, so this means that he is not prone to higher nicotine dependence and other stuff, and does not have the European lactose persistence mutation. Once again, this lactose persistence mutation either came about later or it came about earlier, but did not start getting popular until later. For whatever reason, it started to become popular, and nowadays most Europeans have it, even though ancient Europeans, for the most part, don't have this variation. He's got one copy of the longevity gene, very interesting stuff, and he also has a genotype, a really rare genotype, which means he's 7 times more likely to respond to certain antidepressants, very interesting stuff. Does not have the East Asian alcohol flush. It's like when you drink alcohol and your cheeks get all red. Some East Asians have this trait. And he's got this genotype for increased testicular cancer risk for men, and he's a man, so that's quite concerning. When it comes to polygenic traits, he's got a low risk score for type 2 diabetes. He's got a very low risk score for bipolar disorder. He's got a very low risk score for coronary heart disease, and he's got an average risk score for obesity. When it comes to ethnicity, this guy seems to be a mixture of, well, the closest to him is a mixture of Basque plus something from Central Europe. A mixture of Basque plus Central European seems to be the closest to him, but really, in terms of single populations, he seems to be closest to various Northwest Europeans, and with Eurogenes K13, as you can see, he's scoring a lot of North Atlantic and a lot of West Mediterranean. It's a very Western kind of result. He does have Indo-European ancestry as well, but the Indo-European ancestry seems to be quite lower than what you would expect. The distance is high to East German, and the closest mixture to him is a mixture of Ukrainian or Russian plus Basque. Once again, the distance is pretty high. This is not a good model to represent his ancestry. This is what he scores with MZLPK11. As you can see, kind of low on the Caucasus admixture, only 21% Caucasus admixture here, and definitely a lot of Neolithic or European farmer admixture in this individual. Now 21% Caucasus is kind of low for a Northern European, but it's not as low as what you're going to see with some of the other calculators that are going to come up. With the Oracle here, he's getting modeled as a mixture of Halberstadt with various European farmers, so he's more farmer shifted than Halberstadt. This is what he scores with Harappa World, and this is really where the weird stuff begins. Notice how he's scoring 10% Caucasian and not scoring anything from Baloch. Now, Europeans, the Caucasus ancestry in Europeans tends to get modeled as Baloch with this calculator. It's typical for Europeans to score 9% Baloch and like nothing Caucasian, right? And for him, it's the reverse. He's scoring some Caucasian and he's not scoring any Baloch. Very interesting dynamic here, and he's getting modeled here as a mixture of Lithuanian plus Sardinian or Russian plus Basque. Once again, a mixture of some kind of Northeastern European plus Basque. This right here is PanDNA LK10, absolutely crazy deranged result, like 61% Western Hunter-Gatherer, 6% Caucasus. That's a deranged result for somebody that's a Northern European. For comparison, for me, I score like 45% Western Hunter-Gatherer and like 26 or 28% Caucasus. This guy is like 5% less, 5 times less Caucasus than me. Not 5%, 5 times less Caucasus than me. Crazy result. I think this is the cause for this is that the file was pretty small. It was only a 3 megabyte file, so maybe this was a low S&P prediction. And getting modeled here is a mixture of Basque plus Estonian or Lithuanian or Finnish. Just absolutely crazy deranged result here. This is what he scores with PanDNA LK12. This is maybe not as crazy as the previous one because 8% Caucasus HG is sort of believable for a European. Maybe on the very, very low side, extremely low side, but it's still kind of believable. Interesting nonetheless. And with the Oracle, he's getting modeled as a mixture of Spanish Southwest plus Lithuanian, basically like a mixture of Basque plus Northeast European, more of the same, more of what we've seen with the previous calculators. This is what he scores with the Ancient Eurasian K6, very little Ancestral North Eurasian. Look at the 12.6% Ancestral North Eurasian. This is basically like approaching the amount of Ancestral North Eurasian that like Sardinians have. Sardinians typically score around 7 or 6% of this category here. And closest to Basques, followed by Icelandics. Interesting stuff here. And actually getting modeled as a mixture of Spanish plus Scandinavian hunter-gatherer or Moroccan Jew plus Western hunter-gatherer. So I'm seeing a lack of steppe. I'm seeing a lack of Indo-European ancestry in this individual. This is what he scores with Gedrosia K3. Mostly West Eurasian, 97% West Eurasian. Very, very modern individual. A lot of modern West Eurasian drift. Thanks for watching my video. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. You can download this file in 23andMe format from link which is in the description. Goodbye.